Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in the bunker, Purple State Party. You know what we're doing this for? We're doing this for America. We're doing this for the center, common sense, and things that go bang. All kinds of things that go bang. Wish I was in a better mood. Really do. Usually get really up for this, but this one's, this one's not good. So, I'm going to start off with this little thing here. You know, we have this war brewing right now between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And it's just ugly. It's just really ugly that, like, they're just passing these mandates and stuff, and then they're leaving it in the hands of store clerks and teachers and, you know, people who don't really get paid to police society. You know, we're burdening those people. I know something's got to be done, but, you know, I've always been a believer in treatment because, you know, it's even the same thing with something like the flu. Flu vaccine's not always effective. We've seen clearly that this is not a bulletproof vaccine. You know, they blame it on the Delta variant, but you know, Delta variant isn't stronger than the Alpha, if we're going to use letters. I don't know what it is. I don't really care. You know, man, it's just machine gun bullets that you got to run at. And Americans used to do that. Americans used to be the toughest, the baddest hombres on the planet. You know, believe it or not, our situation is kind of better off than the Australians. They're having lots of protests. They've got people who are, you know, being rounded up and cited by the police and stuff. It's madness. It's madness, and I wonder if America's dilemma of kind of this softening up that we have going on, if it's not a worldwide epidemic right now. And you know, I'm beginning to think that technology is kind of behind all this. We have become so self-involved that for some reason it seems like we've lost our backbone to actually do anything. But anyhow, you know, another thing that we're using as a distraction from all the shit that's going down is, you know, of course, anything having to do with race. And, you know, here they're talking about, you know, that we should take our racial justice worldwide. And in a lot of places, it's already happening. So, first of all, we're acting arrogant again, you know, which is just, you know, there used to be a time and a place when we were arrogant because we were doing better off than everybody else. Now we're lagging behind and stuff, and we're sort of a laughingstock, but more on that later. But, you know, we're going to take, there's people out there who want us to take this equality worldwide. But meanwhile, we're apparently just going to abandon Afghanistan. You know, you see the helicopters flying in, taking people out, shades of Vietnam. You know, we just let Vietnam fall to the communists, you know. At least in Korea, we drew a line, 39th parallel, and we basically gave freedom to half of the country, you know. Now it's going to be up to the Afghans to fight for their own freedom. And the sad part is just like Hong Kong and just like Cuba, we're not going to do anything. Is Taiwan next? And then what? Who's down here? Who's down here? Who knows? You know, Biden, he's leading the troops. You know, and supporters of his are black. Yeah, I think Kevin Nash was a wrestler, so that might explain this. But, you know, everyone I talk to is in disbelief over the fall of Kabul after our capital fell in January. Oh, God, more on that later. But those are the kind of things that, you know, even CNN has seen that Biden is just trying to shift the blame. He comes out and he says the buck stops here, and then he says, but it's the fault of the Afghan president, the army, Trump. They're always back to Trump. Good old Trump, right? You know, good old Trump. Just always blame him for everything. I mean, you know, you gotta think that at some point people are gonna see through this and say blaming Trump is not an excuse, you know. But then again, CNN trying to always, you know, keep the spin going. You know, these were being shown kind of out of order and how they actually have them. But the Taliban's chanting death to America, but they seem friendly. Dude, the Taliban is just waiting for the Brits, the French, and the Americans to get out of there. And then they are just going to start wholesale slaughter. You know, our president comes out and he talks for 5-10 minutes off a script. He blames everybody, like I said before, right? And then he just turns his back and doesn't answer a question. Trump was answering questions on his way from the White House to the helicopter. He would answer questions. He'd be out there every night. But not this guy. He's turning his back. Because they don't really care. This is an entrenched bunch of politicians trying to make as much money and fuck things up before they have to leave office due to age. Look at that. Look at it. The leaders are all extremely old and they're not going to be lasting many more terms. We desperately need term limits because I think that's part of the problem we have in this fight between red and blue nowadays. Is these people have been fighting each other for so long. If we had fresh blood in there, maybe we could start to work on some like common ground, common sense, common good. I don't know. It's possible, you know. Hey, yeah, like I said earlier, he said the buck stops here, and then he just totally blames everybody else. That's not leadership, folks. That's not leadership. That was not a plan. He ignored his military leaders. You know, when I heard that the troops were pulling out on September 11th, I thought, well, that's not a good day to do it. But other than that, I thought, okay, we can have that done. So when we start pulling out so early, I assumed we had already gotten everybody out. But no, there were Americans just left behind. There were Brits and French just left behind. I don't understand. That's not leadership. That's not leadership. That's just going, I just want to get rid of this problem. Yeah, I just want to get rid of it. Yeah. Like a little child throwing something because they just don't want it. Yeah. People hanging off planes. I guess some of them probably died. Lots of people probably died trying to make it to the airport. We could have surrounded Kabul, gotten our people out, and then turned over the country. But we didn't. We just pulled back. They knew, the Taliban knew that under Trump, if they had tried that shit, we would have just emaciated them. Emaciated them? That would be to starve them out. We would bomb the hell out of them. We would go after him. And you know, with Biden, he just wants to be done with it. He just wants to claim victory in the world's longest war, or the America's longest war, which hasn't been a war. It's been an occupation, and it was going kind of smoothly. You see changes in the social structure in Afghanistan, in the ways of thinking. We were building towards something. You know, pulling our troops out was a great idea, but we had to maintain a presence. We're not even going to maintain a presence? Like, I don't get it. I just don't. I don't understand it at all. You know, and one of the guys that, you know, was at the wheel, this Millie guy. More like Millie Vanilli, man. Because he ain't singing his own tune. He's singing the tune of the far left. We trusted these people to not give in to the far left. And we have our military worrying about being woke. I thought we were done with woke. I had a whole thing about woke, and I ditched it because I'm like, we're done with this whole woke thing. But they're still going on with it. And while they're doing that, the Taliban just walked right in. Walked right in. They had Kabul in just a matter of days. They have our equipment, our uniforms. This is humiliating, folks. This is absolutely humiliating. This is like the Iran hostage crisis that, you know, eventually brought down Carter. And as soon as Reagan got in there, man, all of a sudden we got our people back. Because they know one side's not going to do anything. One side is too lily-livered to do anything about it. And now what's their next plan to raise money, the Taliban? Oh, they're going to flood our streets with heroin. Oh, that'll help. Especially since we now have cities that are just giving it out. We're dicking around worrying about allowing, how can we get heroin addicts clean needles? And the world is falling apart. We're worrying about teaching white kids that they're evil and that black kids that they're oppressed. We're worried about that. We're not worried about the whole world falling apart. We had an opportunity to stand up in Hong Kong. We had an opportunity to stand up and fix Cuba. Now we're just abandoning Afghanistan, flat out abandoning it. That was not supposed to be the plan. Okay? Maybe that's been the plan the whole time. I don't know. But I cannot believe that that's what we had planned for Afghanistan, to abandon them. Just like that. Just poof. Disappear so the Taliban can take over the capital just like that and capture our equipment just like that. Okay. You know, and they're mocking us. They say that we shouldn't talk about Sharia law because Facebook has banned Trump. They literally said that. And they do have a Twitter and Instagram and all of that. Because they've hired a PR firm to help them dance around the terms of service. The TOS. The TOS dance. You know what I mean? We know who they are. We know what they stand for, but we're going to allow their recruitment because it doesn't violate our terms of service. Dude, the government is having the private sector do its dirty work now. And that's, well, we're going to start seeing that. We're going to see some of how companies like Apple are now going to be on the patrol for illegal content. Yeah, sure, it'll start with something like child pornography. We all want to get rid of that, right? And brutal acts of violence. Sure, yeah, we want to get rid of that. But believe me, my daughter was arguing with me, but I know what they're going to do. Eventually, every time they find something pirated on your phone, they're going to send you a fine, an unlock, anything that they could deem illegal, they will fine you. That's what they're going to do. Because remember, you think they would lose customers, but they don't. They don't think that way because they think all Apple users are sheep. All Americans are sheep nowadays. People as a whole are sheep. Oh, speaking of the Taliban, Obama gave back their leader in some sort of swap. I don't know. It's just, he probably had a good reason for doing it, Obama did, but it's just ironic, you know. But here you go. Talking about old entrenched people. Biden has been there since 1973. Biden was an elected official when Saigon fell and we were overrun and we had to flee. Look that up. And now here we are again. And this is the madness. We need term limits. We must demand term limits. These people get so entrenched, they know where all the little con jobs are, where all the kickbacks and the bribes and the different ways to manipulate the system. And the longer they're there, the more they can manipulate it. And how's it working out for us? It's not. It's not. We have people in there right now who are bankrupting, want to bankrupt this country for green energy, and all the other countries that matter, that are of size, none of them are doing anything. None of them are. Everybody cheers the Paris Accord, but those people weren't living up to it. I don't really care if Germany lives up to it. Germany's the size of Wisconsin. I'm not belittling them, but size matters when it comes to carbon emissions and all that. We're worried about that. And just like when we were worried about stupid shit under Obama, Biden also lost an embassy. But say what you want about Trump. When Soleimani attacked our Iraq embassy last year, he got turned into Pico de Gallo. That's why the Taliban rushed in. Y'all elected the wrong leader, trust me. Trust me, this is only going to get worse. We have given in to the Russians, the Chinese, the Taliban, Iran. We haven't gotten to North Korea yet, and God only knows who else we're in bed with that's evil. But the Democrats are, I hate to say it, but anybody who wants to defund the police and have open borders is probably criminally minded. Let's just say that. Criminally minded. For some reason, they side with the bad guys. I don't know. But, you know, Saladino says, it's funny and sad watching the left get everything they want, then immediately everything goes to shit, quite literally overnight. And then they blame Trump. Study finds 92% of Taliban are happy they voted for Biden. We're talking about who he's helped. Look at this right here. He's helped the Taliban. He's helped the Russians. He's helped his loose borders have helped drug dealers and, gang members. It has. I'm not saying that everybody who crosses the border is a gang member or a drug dealer. But 1 out of 10, I don't know. I don't know what the statistics are. You know why? Because nobody knows who's coming across the border. That's a little bit worrisome. And meanwhile, the White House announces that they've lost Kamala Harris, but they're also not looking for her very hard. And amongst all of this, what's going on right this moment, the border meltdown, the economic meltdown, the Afghanistan meltdown, the law and order meltdown, they find Kamala, the token, flying to Vietnam. Do you see? I mean, that's how arrogant these people are. While Kabul is being compared to Saigon, she's going to fly to Vietnam. See, that's why you don't elect people who are simply put in that position, okay? Because they check boxes, okay? I don't care what her nationality is. I don't care that she's a woman, okay? What I do care about, though, is the Democrats pick the worst woman they could find. Because that's what they do. That's what they do. I bet you anything that's why they picked her. Because she was going to look bad. She was going to remind everybody, hey, you don't want women, and hey, you don't want a black woman. Because that's what it seems like. Okay? She's not, that's one thing I faulted Trump about. Was Trump never stepped up and did that one thing that swayed people's minds. I don't know why he didn't. Economics are boring to people. You need some grand gesture. She hasn't done shit. She hasn't even tried. You will not pin this shit on me. Yeah, I mean, she just doesn't want to do the job. Biden can't do the job she doesn't want to. See right here. What a team we have running the country. Absent-minded and absent. That's what you elected because they convinced you that Trump was so bad and you never looked beyond the headlines. You never looked at his job numbers. You never looked at the American spirit. You never looked at the fact that we could have unified under Trump and maybe gained some ground in the fight against these entrenched politicians. Maybe. Maybe if he had done things a little bit differently, he'd still be here. And maybe he could have whipped us into some sort of... We need a guy like Reagan. Somebody who can get up there, unite people behind a common goal. That's what we need. A JFK. We need somebody who's, got it. But we don't. We have that idiot who just has lied. He lies. He says, we didn't know this, we didn't know that. Oh, there were so many cables, we didn't know what to believe. And then everybody else around him's like, we knew exactly what was going to happen. But they just wanted out. They wanted to get out and celebrate their victory. We got out sooner. Yay! But they just shafted the entire country of Afghanistan. But he's burning out. Look, right there. He's tired of being president. Biden hangs Trump one sign out of White House window. Because he wants out. Trump was up there fighting every day and night. Yeah, he went and played golf. I mean, give me a fucking break, man. If you're the ruler of the free world, you need to take some time off. So give me a break on that, okay? This guy is taking breaks right in the middle of the Afghan crisis. Where's all the chitter chatter about all that? Huh? I mean, he's been gone he's only been around 4 out of the last 15 days, something crazy like that. Quick recall update here for California. This article basically is trying to say that Larry Elder is racist. It's biggest poppycock. He is against a lot of social programs that are stupid. I'm sure he's not behind reparations, and we need to dial back the liberalism a little bit here. We need to get real. We need to fight crime. We need to have tough borders. We need to stop rewarding illegal aliens. Okay? I understand the sentiment behind it, but look what it leads to. It's the same thing with the homeless. I understand the sentiment behind it, but look what it's led to. Now, I'm not behind him on the vax talk all that much, but I think that needs to be left up to the individuals. I think this whole thing is being blown out of proportion. I understand people are scared of it, but I mean, we don't require it for tuberculosis, and tuberculosis can get you 50% of the time. Okay, we're talking about untreated tuberculosis, 50% of the time. But yeah, we don't have to have a card showing that, we've been checked for that. Well, I'd probably give somebody a bad idea. And amid all this, Newsom, who seemingly says he represents you, he doesn't represent you. He just sold his house for $5.4 million. He represents rich people and rich people's game plans for the future. They want this idiot ass to be president. He would be worse than Biden. He's just oh man, come on. This guy broke his own mask mandate to go to dinner with lobbyists. He's friends with lobbyists. He's in the pocket of every special interest group that tugs at the bleeding hearts. We can't clean our forest. We can't manage our cities. We can't do shit because in their world, everything's a utopia, and if you wish it, it comes true. That's why we need to recall him. Meanwhile, in other laughable decisions, Biden is saying that the Canadian and Mexican border are closed. Do you see how nutty these people have become? Oh yeah, and just right now, just so people understand, because you're still going to hear about it. This is going to be funny. But the FBI has said that there was scant evidence that the Jan 6 attacks on the U.S. Capitol were a result of an organized plot to overturn the election results or anything. It was just people who got out of control. It's the same damn thing that happens when a Target gets burned. People got riled up and they got out of control. And then, did they do anything about it? No. So here's the government getting involved again. Now when you get your smog check, they're going to check for the tuning parts, the tuning chips. Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, they're going to have the smog shop, a private enterprise, search your vehicle without a warrant. That's what they're doing. See, because they've already gone after everybody on the other side of the fence. Now they're coming after you. There you go. Yeah. We knew this was happening. Bootleg Vax cards. Got to skip over a lot of this. Skip. They're letting the police officer off for shooting Ashley Babbitt. I don't really understand how just shooting into a crowd is okay, but that's where we live in. This is what's being made around you. Okay, so if you're on the fence, yeah. There we go. Apparently they want to remove the title master bedroom. It's lunatics. COVID deaths for children in Chicago, 3. 32 died being shot. Where's the lockdown? Where's the policing? Where's any effort to curtail illegal gun violence in Chicago? Skipping that one. Why it's okay for Beyonce to make $60 million, but not okay for a CEO with 3,000 employees to make $5 million. Oh man, whew, numbers. You'll see, I'm not really good with the numbers, but yeah, that's another one of those hippie things going after CEOs. It's just madness. We'll just skip right over that. Health officials warn a mysterious infertility crisis among trans women. And this isn't laughing at the people. This is laughing at the absurdity that's coming along with it. I don't care. I don't care if you have... I don't care. I don't care about... I like Blair White. I like Caitlyn Jenner. I don't really care. But the whole thing about, they can, that whole thing is kind of like, they're not getting pregnant. Old one, but a goodie. Right there, wheels on the show. Right. Trump sneaks back onto Twitter by disguising himself as Taliban spokesperson. That's classic. Man, Babylon Bee, dude. That's some funny shit there. And here we go. On this show, I was saying about, don't let your Trump hatred get the best of you. And It's gotten the best of America. You know? And this is why. Because all he ran on was that he wasn't Trump and that he would undo stuff that Trump did. And then when they had the primaries, this guy, a career politician who was probably too old for the job, as we're seeing. I don't think he's a very vital person. I don't think that he has the goods. And I know KAMALA doesn't have the goods. So I'm worried because America is being eroded. It's being eroded from forces on the outside and forces from the inside. And this guy's at the hub of all of it. And he's the guy you put in there because you didn't like Trump. Because you bought into what the media was telling you. I'm just some dude, man. I have no sponsors. I have nothing. Okay? This is coming from the heart. This is not a Republican. Remember, I started the show by saying I'm in the center. But the one thing I'm not in the center about is America. There's 3. You can see 3 flags, 4 flags, 5 flags. I think there's one in the Reagan button. There's also a rainbow flag up there. Those are the kinds of flags that I fight for, man. I don't fight for the red or the blue. I don't. I fight for every color because that's what America is. And America had better shape up pretty soon because we're not defending freedom at home or abroad. We are supposed to be the beacon of freedom. And we are just finding ways to censor and control and mandate. But meanwhile, we're letting countries suffer. We had an opportunity to stand up to the Chinese in Hong Kong. We had an opportunity to stand up to communism and dictators in Cuba. We had an opportunity to stand up to religious zealots in Afghanistan. And we backed down 3 times because of this guy, Biden. That's what you voted for. This wouldn't have happened under Trump. Remember, I only voted for Trump once, the second time. I voted independent because I wanted an independent to get into the debates because I'm desperate to crack red and blue. Because I'm sick of it, man. I want term limits and I want accountability and I want my damn America back. Copious out. Whew.